Good morning. Good morning. Today's a strange sight. Why does the bush not burn up? When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, "Moses, Moses!" And Moses said, "Here I am." "Do not come any closer," God said. "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." Then he said, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." At this, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. The Lord said, "I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them out of that land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now, go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." But Moses said to God, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" God said, "I will be with you. And this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain." This is the word of the Lord for the people of the Lord.
Praise be to God. Thank you, Tom. Let's have just a moment of prayer. Gracious and loving God, I pray that the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart may be pleasing and acceptable. It is good to be here. You know, as I thought about my call to come and serve here, the one thing that I have missed the most in these times when I've tried to take these brief sabbaticals has been the preaching. I love to preach, and I miss serving a church, and so I'm very humbled and grateful to be able to be your new senior pastor. And you know, I've been hearing some great things about seminary. I really have, as I met with the SPRC and the Administrative Council and the youth group leaders and daycare leaders. I've been with the folks at Crafty Corner on one occasion. I was attended the quilting bee with many individuals. No, I don't quilt. But it was fun to see what everybody else was doing. I've heard about the wonderful VBS program that was held here at Seminary Church this summer. 91 children in our VBS program. Unbelievable. I've heard of churches that are larger than this one by a long shot who ended up with maybe 15 or 16 kids. I also know that South Whitley brings in a good number each year. But to have 91, what an amazing total. Loved it. I've heard some things from Kathy Jones, our associate DS. She shared some statistics with me from Seminary's year-end report from just last year, 2018. Some of you may or may not know some of these stats. 3 baptisms were held here at Seminary Church. There were 6 persons who made a first-time confession of faith. First-time confession of faith that came to Jesus Christ and made a commitment for the first time. We received 12 new members. Seminary has 3 certified lay speakers. The Roanoke Community Food Bank is right here in our church to help those in the area who are in need. This church, Seminary Church, has so much going for it. Seminary is a faithful church, a caring church, a church with hope, a church with a future. Many of you have great visions of what this church can be again. I say, praise God. Praise God for the great things He has done, He is doing, and will continue to do in the life of this church. Amen? Amen. Last Sunday, we began a new leg in the journey for Seminary. A new leg for Kay and myself, as I say, we were called out of retirement, and a new leg for Tom and for Tiffany. We look forward, all four of us do, to being your pastoral team here at the church. It's my hope, my prayer, during the coming weeks and months, that we can develop a relationship of mutual respect, admiration for one another as we journey with Christ at our side, trusting Him to lead us and to guide us to wherever He wants us as individuals to be and to where He wants us as a church to be. Now there are a few things yet, and I'm sure there's more than just 3 that I'm coming up with today, but there's a few things that you don't know yet about Kay and myself. Number 1 is we believe in the power of prayer. We have seen times in our own lives and in the lives of those churches where we have served, in the lives of our family and extended family, where the power of prayer, the prayers were answered. We believe in the power of prayer. I believe that God hears and answers all prayers that are sincerely spoken from the human heart. Now, He may not answer those prayers in the time frame that we had hoped. He may not answer those prayers in the way we had hoped. But I truly believe that God does answer prayer. I hope you believe that as well. Secondly, just as a kind of a footnote, Kay and I are huggers. And we sure hope there are some other huggers here. I encountered a couple of them last week, and I thought, praise God. Some years ago, I was reading some books and also was watching this fellow on TV, a fellow by the name of Leo Biscali. You ever heard of Leo Biscali? Yep, there's a few heads here that have. He was an Italian fellow. He was a professor at the University of Southern California. He was known as Dr. Love. He taught a class on love, loving one another, treating each other with kindness and respect. And he did a lot of public speaking. And every time he spoke, he would sweat profusely. The sweat's just running off of this guy. He had a towel up there with him on the lectern. Every time he's continually wiping the sweat off of himself. And then and his shirts are soaked through. And when he gets all done with his talk, he invites people to come up and he hugs every one of them. Sopping wet. What a hug. And the one night when we were watching on television, he said, I'm going to do things differently tonight. I'm going to hug everybody, yes, everybody that wants to be hugged, I'm going to hug them. But before anybody comes forward to get a hug from me or to hug me, I want you to turn to somebody that you did not come with, somebody that you do not know, and I want you to hug one another. Hug a stranger. And at the end, he told a story about when he had done that on a previous occasion. There was an elderly lady that had come forward, and she thanked him. And she said, it's been 13 years since my husband passed away, and no one has hugged me since. How sad. How sad. Kay and I are huggers. I'm not going to force myself on anybody, trust me. I did try Leo Biscalia's thing the one day at a previous congregation, not Southwood. But I tried it at a previous congregation, and I said, today, why don't you just take time to hug one another instead of shaking each other's hands? Hug one another. One of the men came up afterwards, and he says, I've never hugged a man in my life, and I'm not about to start today. Third thing, I'm going to challenge you in your reading of the Scriptures, your understanding of the Scriptures. I'm going to encourage you to grow in your faith. Sometimes we're going to be dealing with some pretty sensitive issues. I will not run away from those issues. I will tell you what the Bible says, And then you'll have to make your own decision as to how you look at it. On occasion, I may hit a little close to home. God's Word is found in Scripture. Will always be the foundation of my messages. I had a previous parishioner, his name was Floyd Erickson. He has since passed away. And one day Floyd came up after church and he said, "Pastor, you just changed from preaching to meddling." I'll probably meddle sometimes. But always know that whatever it is I'm saying, I'm speaking to myself first. Sometimes God catches me up too. I may do a little meddling today. Scriptures are filled with stories of people called to go in new directions, aren't they? Stories of new beginnings, new opportunities, new life, spiritual as well as physical journeys that the Bible has people on. Stories of real people who are called to get out of their comfort zones. And they're called to go into what sometimes can be pretty frightening areas. Moses, for one. But even before Moses, think back to Abraham. Abraham had a choice. Abraham could have said, "Sure, I'll go," or "No." What's his option? Or what about Mary when she was asked by Gabriel to give birth to God's son? Mary had a choice. She could have said no, but she didn't. Or Peter and John and the other disciples. They had a choice. Will you follow me? Could have said no, but they didn't. Today we focus on the story of Moses. And I'm just going to hit some highlights. It was in this story of Moses when he spotted that burning bush, the bush that wasn't being consumed. Wouldn't that be a weird sight? Seeing something on fire and yet it's not being consumed by the fire. It still continues to exist. And God calls to Moses. And he says, "I've come down to save my people, the Israelites, from the Egyptians, from their slavery, from their cruelty." And then he hits that key verse when he intervenes in history. And he says, "I'm going to send you to free my people." Whoa. Moses' first response in verse 13. Chapter 3, verse 13. Who am I? Who am I that you would ask me to do such a thing? And God said, "I'll be with you. And this will be a sign to you that I have sent you. I will be with you." In verse 13, Moses says, "Suppose I go to the Israelites and I say, 'The God of your fathers has sent me.' And they say, 'What's his name?' What am I supposed to tell them?" God said, "I am who I am." If we were to go on into chapter 4, Moses said, "Pardon your servant, Lord. I've never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken to your servant. I'm slow of speech, slow of tongue." Moses said, "Pardon your servant, Lord. Please send someone else." Let someone else do it. Now, Moses' story is my story. From time to time throughout my life, but especially when he was calling me into the ministry. And I have a feeling it's probably some of your stories too. Because the first thing we like to do when God's calling us to do something is to toss up the excuses, build the wall. So I want to ask you this morning, what is God calling you to do? I believe God has a purpose for all of us. What's he calling you to do? Are you trying to ignore him? Are you denying him? Are you giving him excuses? Now, I'm not saying that God's going to call you to save your people or to go into the ministry, although who knows, that may happen. I've had it happen twice in my 28 years of ministry. It may be that God's calling you to give up something, to surrender something that may be keeping you from having the kind of life that God has in mind for you. It could be that he wants you to give up something that's standing between him and your relationship with him. Perhaps he's calling you to give up some overcommitment, overwork, an addiction to sports that's keeping you from worshiping him, an addiction of some sort. It could be smoking, alcohol, drugs, sexual addictions, could be anything. Is God calling you to do something to bring him honor and glory? Is he calling you to teach a class? Or to go on a mission trip? Or to volunteer in some way around the church or the community? Has God been tapping you on the shoulder? Have you been denying it? Have you been running from it? It's not unusual. Is God calling you into the ministry? Are you like Moses and like me, feeling unworthy and unqualified? The good news is God does not call the qualified, he qualifies the called. Did you catch that? He does not call the qualified, he qualifies the called. And what about Seminary Church, this church? Is God calling this church to take a leap of faith, to dream dreams, to have an even greater vision? I've met some of the visionaries already. I have a feeling there's probably more. Exodus 3:12, one of the calls Moses, and he says, I will be with you. When God calls you, when God calls me, he gives us the same assurance. He will be with us. If God's calling your name, whether it's in the form of a tap on the shoulder or shouting out loud, God's going to be with you. That's his promise. He'll be with you. If we didn't have those who spread the good news of Jesus Christ, who picked up where the 12 left off, I've encountered some volunteers that are saying, I'm getting tired. I'm overcommitted. I'm over-involved. We need more volunteers, folks. We need help. So I don't know. Maybe God's calling you. Maybe God's tapping you on the shoulder. But whether you're young in age, whether you're getting up in years, whether you're young in faith, maybe you just started your faith journey. As a Christian, there is a place for you here at Seminary, and I want our newcomers to hear that too. There's a place for you. Don't get scared and run off now, whoever you might be. Seminary Church has an awful lot to offer. In the coming weeks and months, I challenge you, everyone within the sound of my voice, to listen for the voice of the message